Hello, everyone. Welcome our guests today, Angel and Rocio or Rosario. Okay, nice to
Rocio.
have you both here. Rocio, nice to have you both here. We have a few announcements before we get started. I just wanted to let everyone know we have a Kundalini group activation that is scheduled for July 9th. If you're interested, go to our website and there's information on how to sign up. We also have member Q&A. If anyone's interested, that's also on the website. And if you like this video, please like us and subscribe. And that helps us know that you're listening and makes us feel good about what we're doing. All right, so Rocio and Angel have a book out called The Orchid. They were nice enough to send Robin and I a copy, and it is a beautiful book.
It is beautiful.
Yes, very, very beautiful. So welcome.
Thank you so much for having us here. It's really a pleasure to be with you guys. Really, thank you.
Thank you for the space.
You're welcome.
Yes. So what was your inspiration, or what made you two decide to write a book together?
Do you know this saying that be the change that you want to see in the world? Try to find the problem that you can resolve. So at one point, I have a big problem, and it's how you forgive. And I was going to people and ask, how do you forgive? In a lot of people, they don't know how to do it and to really go. I saw Angel and I, we've been married for 25 years and has been absolutely fantastic. But here you have two persons, one who always see the glass full and another one who used to see always the glass empty. And I grew up in that family where everything was empty, less, or like that. So at one point, when after a very incredible process of introspection and growth and transformation that has been in the making for 32 years, finally I was able to feel better about myself and my emotional body. And I was really to let go all the energetic knots that were around me. So at one point when I was feeling like, wow, this is incredible, how we can share this to the world and do something that can help people to begin to see different examples and how to do it, is how we came to an understanding that, let's do a book who really explain how to do it and how you can transform through the person, the characters, and the characters give inspiration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That kind of ties in a lot to what I do with people in the work that I do. And, to really get full recognition or love of oneself, actually what created the great relationship that you have, and actually finding each other was your glass being half empty and his being full. So that's the attractive quality or the thing that actually brought you together, which is a wonderful thing. And it's a mystery, really, how we are trained into thinking that there's something bad about us in the way that we have felt our experience. All that's happening is we're being called to heal in every moment that we feel a negativity. The universe is forever trying to enter us and bring us the good stuff, as my grandchild calls it. He'll say, come on over here, Grandma, I'll give you the good stuff, which is love. Yeah. And so the universe really wants to give you the loving experience it has created by everything that you've felt. But often, as you said, you get stuck in a holding pattern of the way that you created it, which might have been in a little suffering. Doesn't mean that it's something to be despised in oneself, but it needs to be recognized in order to be healed.
Yes, 100%. And that's why it's so important. And we want to invite everyone to the party.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
So can you tell us why, or what is the significance of the title, The Orchid?
Well, there's also a little subtitle on here, The Secret Code of the Modern Goddess. So maybe tell us what that is.
Yes.
You?
Yeah.
Thank you. Look, first this was a lot inspiration, right? It was really all inspiration, divinely guided. And at some point we started looking for the name that should stamp this project. And we began, in fact, the first name we thought about was The Garden, because it was that feeling of going back to this idea of a Garden of Eden, if you will. And as one would expect, that has been exploited way too many times to be able to find sort of a copyrightable name. And so we started playing around with names, and the Orchid came out. And as we went deeper into researching it, we realized that there were 30,000 different types of orchids, that each one of them is more beautiful than the other, that they are resilient, that they grow in pretty much every part of the world. So it started to become, as it has been for a long time, emblematic of the women that we were trying to portray in our book. Everyone is beautiful. Everyone has that power, that energy inside. And we later found out that, in fact, orchis in Greek, in ancient Greek, is testicles, because some orchids in their root system, they look like testicles. And so we were quite surprised that in looking for this very feminine symbol, we actually finding something that represented both the masculine and the feminine. So we were really pleased about that as well. And the secret code of modern goddesses, there's a two play here. One, the secret code. We say that the things that we talk about in the book, gratitude, forgiveness, acceptance, and intention, are like secret codes that are right in front of us. They're for the taking, and sometimes we undervalue them greatly. And so that's the secret that is so readily available. And then the modern goddess is about empowering women to take their place in the world, in their rightful place, which essentially it's about being strong and present and coexisting harmoniously with the masculine, which, as we know, for a little bit too long has been overpowering that other energy. And so that's what we're trying to sort of play with in the name, the Orchid, the secret code of modern goddesses.
Okay. So I have a question. I think I heard that this is women that are like fictional characters, but real experience behind the characters. And I know that the emphasis is on the feminine. Is this a book that really applies now to both men and women, or mainly to women? And a little bit about why you use the fictional characters to deliver the message.
At one point, we're going to say my story, but really was a little bit shorted. So that's why we need to create more stories. So in every story and every character, you begin to see different, like a basic parts. How you say it?
Archetypes?
Archetypes. So these archetypes, we all have it. And it's important to begin to see yourself finding the solutions. So each character is based of someone that we know. And because we are teaching how to really use all the tools in different ways, it's like for this problem, this character use it like this, and another character use it like this, and another character use it like this. At the end, it's for the reader to take wherever they need in that moment to really begin to unlock and have inspiration. And that's why we cannot tell you a real story. Everything is real, but we change the names and the places and the characters in general for people, because we cannot put the name of anyone in general.
Can I add something? There's a little bit of us in each one of the characters, and there's a little bit of the characters in each one of us. So, for example, there's 5 women. One of them is at the top of her game, but does not feel so. So she feels like it's the glass half empty type of situation. There is a divorcee, has been so for a number of years and has not gotten over it and is feeling depressed. There is a woman who was sexually abused and is still trying to recover from that, even though she is in a loving relationship with a great family right now. There is a woman who is having issues about gender and coming out and revealing that. And there's a woman that is quite angry at the world for having to fight for every single thing that she has achieved. Frankly, That is both people we know and also elements that are within us. Both of us have been sexually abused. Rocio as an adult, I as a child. We both come from single mothers who struggled to give us a good life to, exist, if you will. We've both been in successful situations and really not found ourselves fulfilled, not really, because something was missing. And so the idea was to create all of these things and share them, but share them from a more ample way through different eyes, and especially through the eyes of women, because we also found throughout our travels throughout the world that women really are, one, in second place in most places around the world, and two, the fabric of society. So when you make a shift in a woman's life, you truly are impacting profoundly everything that she can accomplish and how she impacts the world.
So when you change a woman, you change all the circle, and it's a spiral of how all these can really be touched. It's incredible.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
how is it, of course, Angel, you coming from a background of a similar abuse situation, as you stated, how do you feel received or heard? Because this is more from, I'm guessing, or it's more of a woman's perspective, or it's more focused in that direction. How do you feel as a man? Do you feel like there should have been some male characters, or is this satisfying to you, or do you understand the question I'm asking?
Yeah. I've been asked that question many times, Robin. One time I chose to answer it in this fashion, which is for quite a long time, women have been reading books about men written by men and gotten their stories and their lessons and their inspiration from there. It doesn't hurt anybody, in this case, men, to read something that was, in this case, written for women, but really for human beings. The things that we're teaching in the book are really about connecting with yourself, and to do so through these lessons, through these powers. And so they are beyond gender, even though we chose a wonderful story about women to tell it, but they are truly beyond gender. And in fact, something interesting, we have a podcast as well. The first number of episodes that were dedicated to women who read the book. We're now working on the second season, and it's all men who've read the book and have had incredible change doing so. And we wanted to capture and tell the story for that same reason.
Okay, I understand that. And one question for your wife there too. I was just curious as to, you said, the glass was half empty. What was the breaking point, or what was it that all of a sudden shifted or changed in you that made you willing to want to take a look at what was creating in your life?
Was painful. Was inside of my body, I was feeling the energy stuck, but I didn't have words. I didn't know how to do it. When I was really asking people around me, they really don't know all the techniques that you can use. So finally, when I came to LA, I saw a friend who was really in the loving. And in that moment, I find out 3 months later of met her that she was with her ex-husband, but they were so loving to each other that I was, oh my God, what I see here, I don't see it really very frequent or with people, at least. And for me was, what did you did to be where you are? And she say, I study spiritual psychology. Go with your husband, because that you gonna go and change your perspective of life together. Because if not, one is gonna have a vocabulary that the other person doesn't gonna understand. And it's like, okay, so we experience that transformation. I begin to see and feel all the changes in me. And when I was feeling this, it's like we need to share this with the world for more people to begin to see that it's possible, that someone who was really struggling with life, even though it has a fantastic life, and was not able to see it. Fantastic life today. 30 years ago, 35 years ago was very difficult, with a lot of drama, with a lot of struggle alone. I didn't have the support of anyone. You see, like I was with a knife here, like I need to fight, was survival. So little by little, it's like I'm gonna move my life. And finally, the straw is like how you change your life, and then you can drop all that persona and create somebody else that lives in another vibration. So
Yeah.
that
Or
transformation is
in other words,
personal.
actually come into contact with a part of yourself that's always been there, but you've not been able to receive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have a ego. I have a something who was incredible, difficult for me. Was really a Everest to conquer. But
Mhm.
finally, when I conquer, it's like, oh, this is possible. So anyone can do it.
Yeah, once you make a few changes in yourself, your whole universe kind of conforms or shifts around those changes.
Yeah.
You know, one of the interesting things when I meet with people is to really get them to understand, kind of like what I just mentioned to you when we just started, that really your glass being half empty was not a bad thing. Even negativity is a creative thing. It's something that when received by the higher aspect of ourselves, it's transmuted or lifted to the high vibration of love of which your source is part of. And then that reality that you're talking about. So in moment to moment, we are constantly manipulating a reality that is of a higher value that we could actually step into. But oftentimes we are attached to the human vessel that used an emotive state, which was quite low to create it in. So one of the things I try to really make people aware of is the fact that there is nothing good or bad. There is no right or wrong. There is no negativity, as you call it. There's something in you that's preventing you from that connection. Frequency. There's a frequency that's emitting from you that doesn't match the frequency of your creation, but it's not a form of punishment. It's not necessarily, you know, people call it karmic. I don't know. I guess in some sense, of course, I believe that, you know, there can be a reaction from an action, but it's not a punishment as you're led to believe. It's your creation. It's your ability to change form anytime you decide to modify what you're creating with. You know, and you change your frequency and your whole reality starts to conform to the one that you really want to see in it. I'll let maybe Heidi go back. I know she had a couple of other questions that maybe she'd like to pose also.
Yeah, well, I was going to say this before, and I don't know if I'll word it correctly in a way that's understandable, but I know Athena teaches, you know, that, you know, you work on yourself and you get in connection with your high self, and like your whole world changes around you. And I was just kind of contemplating how interesting, whether you're speaking of just general religion or even spirituality to some degree, there is still a little bit of that image of it being about your connection to God, but not really it doesn't really imply the power that it contains in your life to shift your whole perspective and your relationships and basically do what the best counselor in the world can do for you, is kind of not really assumed by the title of a religion or a spirituality. So what would you say about that?
We agree 1,000%. I personally speaking, I think as humans, we try to box everything into an explanation, and we do that really well in order to make sense of life. I've understood now that the moment in which we connect with that higher power lives within us. And that's the power that we're talking about, that when you really tap into that, not only does it live within us, is the one that connects everything around it. And so all of a sudden, your perspective about yourself, the people around you, the people on the other side of the planet, and or in other planets, if we can call them people, but whatever and wherever, that all of a sudden you say, well, I'm connected to that, and I have a responsibility first to myself, and through myself to everything that I surround. And so our book, for example, was very careful I'm going to incorporate what you both said. For example, we don't use the word positive or negative throughout the book, except to say that we're not going to use the words positive or negative because of that, because the book is really a container of love. It's a container, is a bubble
Is that
created
frequency?
in order for the people who are both in it, the characters, but the readers, to experience that higher frequency that allows them to go in and start making sense of everything they've experienced so that they can walk away with the lessons and realize that they're more powerful than they have been led to believe by history, by limitations, by whatever we can put in that sentence. And ultimately, that the power that we seek is that power of God already resides within us. And it's not that God left us or is not listening to us, but rather that we are not in connection with that frequency. And so when you read the book, that ultimately is the message that we leave the reader with, which is you are connected. Allow yourself to be in it and go inside and find your answers to all of your questions. We don't answer anything. We don't tell people how to do anything. We only create a space for them to be able to feel comfortable to go inside and find it themselves.
Yeah. Well, it's really clear what your intention is. I mean, you're both beautiful people. I can see that. Sometimes you take a book like this and you just sleep on it because the energy is in it. I'm laughing because I get little things, I am a channel. They're saying you could have drawn black lines across every one of the pages and you would have still been received in love because that's
Yeah.
your intention. Is to really
Yeah.
uplift humanity and make a better world for people. So I just want to congratulate you. If you don't have time to read it, just get it and sleep on it, put it under your pillow. It's kind of funny because years ago I actually read, and there are a few people that have this gift where they can actually absorb a book in their sleep. I don't know if you've ever heard of this before. I wish
I did it. I did it the other day with
Nice.
with Yogananda.
Well,
It is like
for certain, I know you can absorb the frequency. I'm not sure you'd get the full
Mhm.
content, but definitely would receive the frequency that it's written in. So I just wanted to give you that, and it is a beautiful cover. I don't know who designed it for you, but I love it. It looks very
It is
feminine and has a very attractive appeal. Hopefully, men won't be put off by the pink color. I don't think so. My son's playing with a pink pickleball racket now. It doesn't come in any other color, but he loved the racket. So I don't think the color really matters for male and female so much anymore.
Well, and what's kind of funny here, Robin, in irony, is your Athena and Truth logo is got pink
Black
all
and pink. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
it does. Yeah.
yeah.
I just want to acknowledge the message it's received. I'm tearing because that the only thing that was behind the book as we were writing it was our transformation, and through it, the love that we were connecting to and to each other and to the world, and wanting to put it out there for more to experience it in another way, because none of this is new. It's been
Yeah.
around forever.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But we just had a different way of telling it, and we wanted to tell it as a novel because people had been sitting around the fire listening to stories for millennia, and we
Yeah.
wanted to tell stories about it.
Well, the interesting thing, I've been married for, I don't know, I got married in 78. What is that? Is that 47, 48 years, something? And I knew my husband since I was 13. We met. I've never dated
Wow.
anyone else. We met at age 13. And you know what? Of course, there's a great deal of changes that go on between a 13-year-old and a 65-year-old. Somehow we managed to, there'd be some bumps along the way where we would try to, let's level this back out again and keep going. I just want to say that in learning the techniques and in healing ourselves, and I think you guys would agree with this, we in no way want to portray the example that we're going to live a fight-free life or an argument-free life, but we're going to be less attached to it. We're going to be very quick to realize our part in it, and the emotions that are being revealed within ourselves actually start to become more evident to us. So I find that things don't get quite hung on to, and the reaction isn't quite what it used to be. It's just not as pungent as, maybe it might go on for weeks prior to ever having this knowledge, to where now it might just be a moment of irritation that passes very quickly. But it's just to kind of leave people with the impression that, a rebalancing or what you would call a disagreement once in a while is going to happen, but it kind of happens in a new way, in a more elevated way. That's how I would explain it. I don't know if you'd agree or disagree with that.
100%, I agree with you. And that's something that really changed our relationship.
Yes.
But first, I changed the relationship with me, but I understand myself because I didn't know that my soul came to my body, and then this body has a lineage I was healing. And of course, when you don't know and you have those moments of difficulty, sometimes doesn't need to deal with you with your present moment, is you are healing something of your past. And it's beautiful to really witness and have the space with somebody who understand that, is not personal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
no, it's
no,
it's
hopefully one's conscious while the other one's unconscious. Like my husband's got a computer problem. I know he's unconscious. There's just no way I'm going to have any type of a discussion with him. Oh, that email just left on its own. I mean, that thing just did that thing again, is the way he would describe it. And he gets really exasperated and edgy, and all kinds of things could go wrong if I approach him the wrong way when that's going on. So I try to recognize unconsciousness, because I can tell when somebody's in a loop or they're trapped in something. Not that I don't get them, but hopefully when we get them, one or the other isn't in one, and can at least help and grant a little space to the one that is.
Yes, it's fantastic to do it. And that's why it's so important to breathe.
I think it's about tools and know-how, right? It's like someone who's never seen a live wire of electricity might just go and touch it and try to control it. The person who has, and the person who has some training will say, no, let's do this. Let's turn off the electricity. Let's wear some gloves. Let's get grounded, whatever it is. And that's, I equate that with how we now approach our life. We have depressive days where we get up and it's like, oh, what is this? Something happened last night and I woke up with no energy. I need to get into gratitude. I need to shift my energy and start thinking about my day differently. Allow that energy to pass, but know that it's not me. And also that I'm not going to create today from that energy. I don't want to create from fear. I don't want to create from heaviness. I'm going to wait until that shifts slightly today. And the way we have intentions now for everything we do, the way we approach a conversation with each other, with our daughters. And so that changes, and the actionable time between cause and effect has shifted indeed. We see how we can lift ourselves from, we see ourselves when we're getting angrier, right? It's like, would you give me a moment? I need to allow this to happen because I'm not myself right now. I'm not centered. And so it allows us to live.
I don't have harmony.
I'm not in harmony.
Or I'm just creating with a little anger right now. There's something
That's
good
right.
coming, but it may not look good.
That's right.
Yes, and it's
And
like
so
that. Let me leave it.
and it's made a huge difference in the way we live.
Yeah. I was just time to go back a tiny bit. You had mentioned that it was a remembrance, and that this information has been put out there many times. However, what I think is important is that even though it is been put out there many times, sometimes a person has to hear the same thing worded different ways multiple times before it sinks in. So your message might resonate with people who have heard similar things, but never really took it in like they might from the way you've done it. And also vice versa, when someone is receiving that inspiration, instead of looking at it as, it's supposed to look like this, just allowing it to feel how it feels for you, and not having to feel like you need to control or think that you're not where you need to be because it doesn't feel like someone else's experience.
For sure. Heidi, that's the reason why we wanted to incorporate many women, so that they were all experiencing it differently at the same time. And that would give the reader a perspective of, where do I fit in all of that? And sometimes people associate themselves with one or with many. But yes, that was the intention primarily, to really add a different flavor.
One of the things I find kind of interesting, because I didn't get a chance to read the whole book, so I did skip around a little bit because I only got it like a week ago. And one of the things I was reading about that kind of resonated with me a little bit was, I think they were talking about, women maybe being subservient to men, and women's place being in the home and them doing the most of the child rearing. I actually grew up that way. That's my father never changed a diaper or had really much interaction with us. My mom did everything. And I would say to some degree, my own life looked that way, maybe a little bit more out of not, and this is no criticism towards my husband. It was just the way of things, during that time. I'm going to be 66 years old, and I've been, like I said, married 48 years. So this is a long time ago. I had my kids in my early 20s. What I find kind of fascinating about it is the different way that women are affected by it. Because as I read that, I had no anger. I had no, now maybe this is the place I'm at right now. I don't know if I would have read it in my 20s or 30s. I might have thought, damn it, I might have been upset by it. But for some reason, it just felt like a period of time. There was no negativity attached to it, no judgment, even though my dad didn't help, even though my husband, was the kind of the breadwinner and the one out working, and I just kind of supported all that. There really wasn't at this point in time, a devaluation of myself or any kind of a negative feeling. However, I think back then it might have been different. And so I was kind of grateful to have fallen on that section of the book and realize where I'm at myself. That I know that in my late 20s and early 30s, there was a lot less confidence, a lot more feeling not powerful, I would say, but that evolved out of me through this process of spiritual development and becoming a channel and all of those things. And I don't know if other people will have that experience when they're reading that book. So I guess the point I'm trying to make, depending where you're at in that journey, if you're right in it and you're in your 20s and you've never heard of this before, you might really reveal some things within yourself. Or you might be like me. You might be a person that's been on the journey for a while and you're older, and you're pleasantly surprised that even though you lived that, you're not carrying that anymore. It just doesn't really have the same pinch that it might do. Heidi, do you understand what I'm saying? Because you lived in the same,
Yes,
lived in the
I
same
do.
environment I did. And you went through a similar thing with your husband too. So how would you relate to what I just said?
Well, I think it's accurate. I think that new souls being born today, as you see, and I see in my daughter's relationships with their husbands, it's a very different picture than it was when we were younger. And I think it comes from a multitude of places. I think it comes from the expansion of thought and consciousness, that all of the desires that were sent up from Robin and myself and women like us for some other things besides that started to be born in our children, and those matured up now, and the relationships now look very different because of it. So I very much relate.
It kind of goes back to the original idea that creating with something bad isn't bad. Maybe someone would have looked at what I was living as not fair, as some, men not doing their part and all that kind of stuff. But something better, like Heidi is saying, in the future can be created from a difficult time or a difficult feeling. And so that's one of the things that when I'm working with clients in sessions, that I really want them to appreciate their experience. And if they're hard workers and think that's the only way money comes, then by all means work hard, but know you're doing it. Just become aware that this is a perception or belief I have adopted from my life experience. So it doesn't mean that you can't work hard, because sitting home would probably, waiting for wealth to come, you probably wouldn't really be in alignment to that, and therefore would not receive the abundance that you hope to get. So sometimes by efforting a little in your experience, if it's something that you've lived and you believe in, but the main thing that I teach is consciousness, and because the divinity aspect of you resides in your conscious awareness. And I think that's essentially what you two did, and it's what you portrayed in your book, is you decided to become conscious rather than to be lashing out unconsciously, creating an uncomfortable relationship and then thinking it was an outside cause or something just happening out of nowhere. That's how I would describe that.
I love that. In fact, one of the things about the first lesson, awareness, is that we all have beliefs, right? And the invitation is to look at yourself and observe yourself and your beliefs, and then ask yourself one further question. Am I okay with them, or do they limit me? And only in the event that you feel limited by them, then it poses a next question, which is, do you want to make a change? And that is the awareness for us from that perspective. And that's when then you say, okay, then that's a limiting belief for you. And at that moment, then the question is, and what can you do about it? And that's where the gratitude, the forgiveness, and the acceptance comes in as powers of transformation.
Yeah, it's funny when you bring that up. I have this recall that comes up when I was at a tennis party, and one of the ladies that showed up for it that we played tennis with was a little bit late, and there's a table of 8 or 10 of us, and one of the girls asked her what kept her, and well, I had to, set my husband's towel out for his bath for the evening, and I packed his lunch, and this woman was just mortified that she would have to do that. And, well, and why did you do that? Why didn't you just let him, and she kind of went on her thing. And I was sitting next to the woman that had done it. And I said to her, well, did you enjoy doing it? And she goes, yeah, kind of do. I mean,
Right.
loves it. And I really don't mind doing it. So I think the point is, sometimes this stuff gets carried away. It is about being in balance and doing what you love to do. Some people might, like this other lady, looked at that as a terrible thing. She thought it was the most controlling, ridiculous thing, that she should slam her foot down to it. And I could see this woman kind of shrinking, like she didn't really want to do that. She kind of actually enjoyed making that offering or doing it. So I don't think it's as cut and dry as male and female duties.
Right.
I think it's about really being able to sense, I think one of the reasons that my husband and I remained married the length of time we have been married is each of us had a keen sense of knowing when the other had started to not give, because that's where the problems start. And so if you can feel that space of there's no flexibility here right now, can I flex? Can I? I mean, I'm not saying you have to, but if I have any flexibility, that's the time to use it. And I think that that's actually a good tool. If it isn't in your book, that maybe it should be added.
Maybe for the next one the book is the relationship of self-love.
Mhm.
How do you love? How we can bring all the characters and the reader to feel better about themselves and really to put the mask on, because when they understand how to achieve the highest vibration of love, creativity, and abundance, or is only about that, how you can do it, because that is gonna change how you see the world, and then you're gonna relate with the world with another place. So it's more about, if you love really, because this is the most important, talk about 100 people, fantastic. Another people love singing, and another people loves really create flowers. So is whatever
Do what you
connects
love.
you with love, with the joy. That is the most important compass that we need to have here in our heart, is follow the joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you are not there, is but how can I go there? So we explain through this story how the characters are beginning to peel this trauma and this sadness and this inability, all these that we say to ourselves, and keep them away for that, for joy. So when you feel it, is nothing can stop you to do, because it's something that I say to my kids. If you wanna paint nails or you wanna be the president, it's fantastic, but follow what makes you feel better about who you are in this experience.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
So what would be like the most surprising or maybe unexpected positive result or outcome that you had in your life from creating this book?
So many,
We cry every day.
so many.
We receive
So many.
notes from people who have read the book and are speaking to how it's changing and impacting their lives, so that they're looking at it differently.
I don't know, it has been an expansion
Yeah.
in a way that the only say that I can tell you is, I didn't have a good relationship all the time with my husband. Now I have. I didn't have a good relationship all the time with my kids. Now I have. I didn't have a good relationship with my mother-in-law, my sister. And now it's like everything. I understand him better, my friends. It's like I know that my projects, I know my voice. It's like all this has been a blessing, really. And the blessing is that a friend of mine, the daughter, is in intensive care right now. So please send her light to Maria Antonia. And now I know that we are in this vibration of miracles, and miracles are happening. So it's now I have a knowing that, together we can bring things to an harmony much better, and really matters what we do in the world, what Robin is doing, what Hayden is, all of us and all the people who are watching us and listen to us. It's like if we keep our vibration in the loving, that what we are doing, what we are really love, we can change anything possible. So
Yeah.
what can I tell you? This is incredible.
Yeah. So I think that's a great spot for us to end on. And I would like
Hold
you
the
to
book up
share-
one more time.
Oh, yes.
This is called The Orchid. I'm assuming it's on Amazon, right?
Yes, the book is available in English and Spanish, electronically, in print and audiobook. Amazon, Apple, Barnes or Noble, Audible, pretty much anywhere where books are sold.
Okay.
And do you also have, you mentioned a podcast, if you want to share your information?
Oh, thanks so much. We have, by the way, a book club coming up now in July. It's going to be a digital book club. You can find information on our website, www.theorchidbook.com. We do have a podcast. It's called The Orchid Diaries. And essentially what we wanted is to give the space and the platform for people who've read the book and want to share their story. So we interview women, and as I mentioned now, also men. And we are, my gosh, we're just looking to figure out how to spread more of this story so that we can empower more people by allowing them to connect with that energy. We're working on a play. We are working on a first episode for a TV series. We're just trying to do it all.
Okay, so I'm going to share what I'm getting right now.
Oh my God.
There are many different types of orchids. I believe they have names. Is that not right?
Yes.
And this could be like a chicken soup for the soul, but every orchid represents another story or another avenue that you could possibly go down, whether it be in your TV show or another book. But that's something that I'm really getting very strongly, that this could really turn into a series. And actually it's funny, this orchid thing comes up because I had several friends in Florida that one of them had a bathtub area, was all glass. And then outside of the tub was an enclosed outdoor area, but it was full of every kind of orchid. So every time I went to a party at her house, of course, I tried to find one that she didn't have. So I'm familiar that they do come under different names and colors and
Yes.
styles. Like there's some that are like dragons. There's all different kinds. So I just want to implant that impression on you before we end today, that might be an avenue that would be applicable in the future.
Yes, it is. Believe me, it's incredible to see the light that we all carry and how important it is to understand that we need that light. We need people in their best, happy, enjoying what they are doing, because that's the solution. That's moving forward. So
Yeah.
it's
Well,
possible.
thank you. Thank you both so much for coming on.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed meeting you
talking
both.
with
And
both of you.
yeah, I'll spend some more time on this when I have time, maybe on my
Yeah.
drive, if I can
Thank you
see
so
with the
much.
touch balancing.